Okay, this video is a grammar video and I'm going to be talking about the determiner the. Determiners are words like the, a, my, some. There's all sorts of determiners. The and a are the most common ones, but this video is going to focus on the. Now there's some rules about this. I would like you to take some notes while you're listening to this, and once you've finished listening, you should practice this in your own writing. Okay, I've got a passage here that I'm going to read through. There are some grammatical mistakes in this passage, so I'm going to read it and point out where these mistakes are. Winter had started in the animal farm. Now, just in that one sentence, there's actually two mistakes. First of all, animal farm. It's a place. It's the name of the farm. So the pigs renamed the farm. And so it should have a capital letter at the start of animal and farm. So that anytime you talk about animal farm, the place, you should use capital letters on both words. Now, the other issue with this sentence is the word the. It's been used incorrectly here. I'm going to explain why it's been used incorrectly in a moment, but for the moment, I'll highlight it so we can come back to it later. I'll keep reading. In the inside of the farm, animals were all lying down on the hay without any activity until the dawn came. Now, the problem with this sentence is the word animals, so I'm going to highlight that and I'll come back to that in a moment. The next sentence, pigs stood in front of the farm and looked down the whole farm. The issue here is with pigs, so I'm going to highlight that. At the end of the day, all animals went back to the barn to their beds. I've got another issue with the word animals. You can see here I've highlighted 3 nouns. Okay, we'll come back to those in a moment. All was quiet on Animal Farm. Now here, I've actually got the capital letters already, so that's already correct. So I just needed to fix up the capital letters on the first example. Okay, now I'm going to explain each one of these issues, why it's the case. So we'll start with this one. Winter had started in the animal farm. Now, I'll just move down a little bit. So, determiners. When to use the. Do not use the for most countries, cities, or towns. So, for example, I am going to the Australia. That is incorrect. I've put a red X there to show that this is not the correct version. Instead, you should say, I am going to Australia. Australia is the name of a country, so we do not use the determiner the. Same thing for a city. I live in Melbourne. You don't need to put the, just I live in Melbourne. You can use it in different types of sentences. The snow is falling in London. You wouldn't say the London, just London. You don't use the determiner. There are a couple of exceptions to this. There are some countries that use the United States, for example. This is an exception, but as I've said here, for most countries, cities, or towns, you should not use the. Now, this is the same for Animal Farm. It's a location, the name of a place. So I would not use the. I am going to Animal Farm. Don't use the. Okay, so if I go back up here, winter had started to fall in the animal farm. The use of this is incorrect, so I'm going to delete the. Winter had started in animal farm. That is correct. Okay, so the rule there was do not use the determiner for most countries, cities, or towns. Okay, now on to the next rule. So here I've got an issue with these 3 nouns. Okay, so I'm going to move down a little bit here. So using the, we have 2 different types of nouns. We have countable nouns and then we have uncountable nouns. So to start with countable nouns, you can see the word count here. Countable nouns are things that you can count. Whether they are singular or plural, there might be one or many. you use the determiner the, so we say yes, do use it when you're talking about something specific. So a specific number. I'll give you an example here. There is a cat who lives next door. The cat is black. Which cat? The cat who lives next door. So there is one cat. I know that there is one cat. I can count it. So I do use the here. That is correct because I'm talking about a specific cat. There are two cats who live next door. The cats are purple. I use the here as well. That is correct because how many cats are there? There's two cats. I'm talking about specific cats, the cats who live next door. I can use it for other examples as well. Let's read the book. Which book? I can answer that question. The book we were reading last week. Okay, so I'm talking about a specific book. I'm able to count. I'm able to say it's one book. Okay, in comparison to this, this is where you do use the determiner the. When you don't use the, it is for uncountable nouns, nouns that cannot be counted. They are non-specific. So the article the is not used. For example, I want to go to space. Space is not something that you can count. It's a vast area. I can't say one space, two space. It's uncountable. So in this case, I would not use the in here. I want to go to space. That is correct. I like to read books. So before I said, let's read the book. And of course, we need a comma there. Let's read the book, a specific book. So I use the. In this case, I like to read books. Which books? Any books, all books. I don't care which book. I'm talking in general and non-specific. I like any books, so I don't put the. Now, this is the sentence that we had before. Pigs stood in front of the farm. Which pigs? Do we have specific pigs here? Well, yes, we are talking about the pigs in Animal Farm. Of course, I've got to put a capital. So we're talking about specific pigs. Do we use a determiner? Yes. The pigs stood in front of the farm. So this one is not correct. Because we are talking about specific pigs, we can count them. We might not know right now which how many there are, but it is possible to say they are specific pigs that we are talking about. We're talking about Napoleon and Squealer and Snowball. We're talking about the pigs in Animal Farm. We are being specific. So we need to use the. So before, where I had here, pigs stood in front of the farm, I need to put the pigs, and of course I'll put the P in a lowercase. The pigs stood in front of the farm. Now that is correct. The same situation is actually happening here. In the inside of the farm, animals were lying down. Which animals? Well, we're talking about the animals who live on Animal Farm. We are talking about specific animals. We're not talking in general terms. So I would put the animals. The same thing here. At the end of the day, all animals went back to the barn to their beds. Which animals? The animals who live on Animal Farm. So we need to put the. We are talking about specific animals. Okay? Do not use the if you're talking about the pigs in general, or talking about pigs in general, rather than specific pigs. So if we want to make general statements about pigs as animals, pigs like to roll in the mud. This is non-specific. We're not talking about Napoleon and Snowball and Squealer. We're just talking in general about pigs and how they behave. Pigs are fat. Yep, that's just general. Which pigs? All pigs, any pigs. Non-specific. Now, if we were going to be more specific, the pigs in Animal Farm are bullies. they bully the other animals. We would put the because we're talking about specific pigs. Okay? In this case, we're always talking about the specific group of animals or the group of pigs, so we do need the. So that is how you know the difference between when to use this determiner or not. So just a recap of the rules. So we should do not use the determiner, the, when talking about a place, such as a country, city, or a town. Do not use when talking in general and non-specific. Do use when talking about something specific. So talking about specific nouns, the pigs, or talking about nouns that you can count if you've got the cats who live next door. Okay, so this is the rule that you need to remember. You should now write this down, and the next time you do a piece of writing, go back to your notes and double check your work to make sure you are using the correctly. I will be looking for this in your writing. If anything in this video did not make sense, please talk to me in class.